Welcome to the Bengal Genius Show. The world is over for Houday Nation. The season's done. That's what they want you to believe. Zach should stop calling plays. Joe Burrow should go on IR. He's not the same since he's been paid. Jamar Chase is dividing the locker room. What were some of the other beauties I've heard this week? I've heard them all, and they're all a bunch of googly gook. Did you know? You probably knew if you're a Bengalologist, but in case you're not, if the Bengals win Sunday, when the Bengals win Sunday, they will be 2-3, the same record as last year. Yep, that's correct. And as we know, the Bengals went on a hell of a run last season. Now, we don't want to do this year in, year out, and you can't count on it, but things are looking up. Joe practiced for the first time on a Wednesday this week. He showed a little mobility, but of course that's with no one chasing him. But he actually went and spoke to the team, and when Joey B talks, players listen. So we'll see how they respond. He obviously knows he's struggling. Everybody knows he's struggling. It's all about the calf. We're beating a dead horse here, but I've said the whole time, my only fear is re-aggravating or making the injury worse. That's why I thought if they just rested him, he would be back at 100%, but the guy's a dog. He wants to play. All right, Joe Burrow wants to play. We can let him play. So that's what the team's going to do. They're going to stick by their boy, and the boy's going to lace him up. Now, tomorrow is going to be tough, but I've heard some horrible theories this week that the defense sucks. It's just not true. They're exhausted. You get those 3 and outs, and they definitely add up. And then they will wear your team down to the ground. So that's what they're experiencing, and that's what's happening. Now, it's going to be 95 freaking degrees tomorrow. So it is going to be imperative to get off to a hot start. And this game is not going to be that easy, okay? The Cardinals, they whipped the Cowboys, and I was a little surprised at that. I actually lost a little bit of money, if you know what I'm saying. Lost a little cash on that action, but they beat the Cowboys, who were tough, and they lost close ones to the Washington Commanders, the Giants. The 49ers crushed them, but the 49ers are crushing a lot of teams right now. So Dobbs is connected on 70% of his passes. James Conner is a tough runner, but it's going to be, can we get that defense off the field by sustaining some long drives? And the offense is definitely going to have to get more creative and figure out some things to do to get that ball out of his hands quick. And it'll be interesting when they get what they come up with. So they're going to have to drop something, but I think Joe Burrow has had enough of this. I think that he is fed up with hearing about it, sick of dealing with it. I mean, he's frustrated. The whole team is frustrated. But like I said, they win tomorrow, they'll be 2-3, and that's just what the plan's going to have to be. Last week, the penalties on third down killed us on defense. And a couple of those were a little shaky. As bad as the refs were last week, and they did suck, that was just a good old ass whooping. So T. Higgins might be out for this game, so hopefully Tyler Boyd and maybe Iosivas can make an impact here, the youngster. I'd like to see more of Hudson out there. Irv Smith's supposed to return, but honestly, I think Hudson provides a way, way bigger pop. So it's going to be a tough game, and we're going to have to be in these dogfights until Joe's at least to 85%. And he's on his way. So hopefully he's doing whatever it takes, cryo, freezing that calf, stretching, voodoo. I don't care what he has to do to get back. Let's just hope that he returns to action. So, speaking of T. Higgins, there was some interesting news that they were talking about. Carolina Panthers were actually interested in trading for T. There was rumor that they put some feelers out for him, which at this moment is not a good move for the Bengals, I don't think. For obvious reasons, we're going to make a deep playoff push here, and T. Higgins is a huge part of it. Now, if there's some kind of wacky, fluky thing that happens and the Bengals don't win another game, the trade deadline's October 31st, and at that point, just talking business, a little bit, it would make sense to trade him because he's going to be a free agent next year. They're not going to be able to re-sign him. They're not going to franchise him. The cost to franchise a wide receiver. I think it's around 25 mil. That ain't happening. So if they can trade him, get some picks for him, it just depends how much Carolina's willing to give up. What Carolina gets, a stud wide receiver. I love it because it gets him the hell out of the AFC because I'm afraid he's going to go to the Kansas City Chiefs. And we get some compensatory picks for him. Depending on what they give. You don't know. Get maybe a first-round draft pick. Or I don't even think Carolina has first-round draft choices, right? They gave them all to the Bears. Ooh, yeah. Nice job, Carolina. I don't know. But, like I said, keep T, and that is just something we're going to have to monitor as the season goes along. So we'll know more after tomorrow's performance. Here's some action around the AFC North. Browns have a bye week, and they look like they're falling apart a little bit. A little weird that Deshaun Watson missed that game last week. That came out of nowhere, and the word was that he was healthy, but he didn't want to play. Who knows what's going on with that weirdo? The Steelers and Ravens. Now, we need to put our Steeler hats on for tomorrow. We need the Pittsburgh Steelers to pull one out here because the Ravens, right now they are looking like the team to beat in the AFC North. Got to hand to them. They're throwing out beatings left and right. The Steelers' offense is looking abysmal, and they even wanted to get Ben Roethlisberger out of the buffet line and actually in the press box, the coach actually call plays for the Pittsburgh Steelers. That's what the drunk Steeler fans are wanting to do. And the way that their offensive coordinator has been coaching, Matt Canada, it looks like it might be the right call. I doubt it'll happen, but that offensive coordinator is horrible, so let's hope they keep him around. The Steelers have struggled on offense almost as bad as we have, and they don't have a hero that's wounded. They just good old-fashioned suck. And right now, their quarterback, Kenny Pickett, has a bum knee, a deep bruise at the moment. But I heard an interesting point the other day when you're talking about the Bengals and Ravens, and I thought this was valid. So when they played, Bengals, the continuity brings both curses and benefits, right? So the fact that we have a consistent offense and all the players know the scheme, that's good. But the flip side of that is the opponents in the AFC North know how to prepare and play against us. And that was a benefit for the Ravens, whereas Lou had a plan for the Baltimore Ravens' new offensive coordinator, Todd Monken, but it didn't quite work out the way that was planned. So Lamar Jackson looked pretty damn good, to be honest with you, but we know it'll happen in the future in the rematch, So definitely something to keep an eye on. But if there is a fluke and the Bengals struggle and lose tomorrow and the Ravens win, falling 3 games behind is going to be tough. All I know is this. The Bengals get squeak in the wild card. No team, if you give them a choice, who do they want to play in the first round? No one's going to pick the Bengals. So believe that. There's some NFL news to get to around the league. Caleb Williams. I thought this was a good story the other day. Caleb Williams, the stud quarterback out of USC, said that if he don't have one of the certain 5 teams he wants to play for, and if none of those guys have the number 1 pick in the draft, he will stay in college and just bank on his NIL money. Okay? Now, I know it sounds bad, but he is 100% right for doing this. The more you're around football, the more you'll learn that coaches can be dipshits and stubborn, and they don't know how to adapt to their players. They just have a system, and they're like, do it, do it, do it. Doesn't matter. They would have Tom Brady, Gronk, and Randy Moss running a frickin' wishbone because it's their system. And some guys have no creativity, and their egos get in the way, and they can't help it. And you do not want to deal with that. And some organizations suck. And if you look back, football is interesting because everyone has to look out for themselves in this business while still having to use teamwork to achieve the ultimate goal of winning a Super Bowl. But players have to look out for themselves. Teams and organizations have to look out for themselves when it comes to salaries. They can't pay everybody. And it is interesting, right? where it's a collective individuals that have to get on the same page, and that's hard. And there are organizations that had to deal with this in the past. I know John Elway, back in the olden days, he did this and didn't play for Baltimore. And, of course, Eli Manning didn't want to play for the Chargers. And it looked to be the right decision. They both went on to win Super Bowls. So he has every right to do this. And I like how college football is operating with the transfer portal, because it takes the power away from these sadistic coaches who can't get past their egos. Reminds me of a story I heard the other day. It was very interesting about Marshawn Lynch, and he was on Shannon Sharp's podcast, and he was talking about basically the same exact thing. We all know the play, the worst call in Super Bowl history, where they didn't give Marshawn Lynch the ball at the 1-yard line. And there's a bunch of rumors about what happened, this and that, but to me, there's a lot of funny parts of the story. But Marshawn said when he got off the field and he heard Russell Wilson say to the coach, he goes, "Oh, doggone it, I'll get him next time, coach." And Marshawn said he took his helmet off, went right up to Pete Carroll and laughed, "Bah!" right in his face, and went in the locker room. And I was like, whoa. I've heard a lot of weird stories about Russell Wilson, and white people have a term for this kind of guy. It's called a dork. Yes, a dork. Russell Wilson's a dork. Marshawn also told a story about how he was having a party, and everyone was there. The kickers, the punters, the linemen, wide receivers, everyone was there. First of all, he don't even have Russell Wilson's number. Tries to get a hold of him, and Russell calls him back from a blocked number because he didn't want Marshawn getting his number. It's like, dude, everyone knows go hang out with Marshawn Lynch. I'd be there sucking down Crown Royal, whatever, man, and having a good time. I mean, who doesn't want to hang out with Marshawn? Or your teammates. So I don't know what's up with that guy, but the Pete Carroll incident goes back to what I was talking about with the ego of coaches. Why would you not want to just give the ball to Marshawn and win a Super Bowl? You know, it's almost like to spite the guy. So you cut off your nose to spite your face, and where does that leave you? The worst call in Super Bowl history. That's gotta hurt. But there was more exciting news than just that this week. Everyone knows about the big it couple right now. Taylor Swift and Mr. Pfizer. Thank you, Aaron Rodgers, for that. Hilarious. That was pretty funny. He dropped that on Travis Kelce. And to me, it's obviously a staged romance. There used to be this guy named Michael Jackson, King of Pop. You may have heard of him. A real weirdo for you young folks out there. At one point, he was a great singer, and he evolved into some kind of strange chimpanzee-carrying wackadoo who liked to pretend he was Peter Pan and hang out with kids, and it was just a bizarre, you know that movie Home Alone? He used to hang out with that kid, and he was a grown man. He was actually used to carry this kid named Webster, which is a Bengal connection here. The show Webster had Ted Karras' uncle, Alex Karras, and he was one of those little adults, whatever you want to call him. But Michael Jackson would carry this kid around who was a grown man, carry him like a baby. It was just strange. The guy was strange. Well, anyway, he married Elvis Presley's daughter, and it looked like clearly it was an arranged situation just for, I don't know, throw off the scent of the media. Who knows? Or just for purely from a business standpoint, and that's what I think Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift having going on. I mean, because they both got all these documentaries coming out and podcasts and commercials, and it's just kind of weird. I mean, I'm happy for the kids. You know, congratulations. I feel bad, of course, for Brittany Mahomes, who must be in that press box, lonely in the corner, drifting. Why isn't me? Why aren't I getting all the attention? But if it's love, right? Who can knock two kids in love? But it's definitely a strange situation. But the NFL's got to stop just cramming it down our throats nonstop. It's like Taylor, Travis Taylor. It's like, I don't know. They've been doing a really bad job this year when it comes to the families and personal lives of the players, like cutting back to them in the booth. It's like, you guys got to stop it, man. I know they're trying to cross over and just take over the world. But it's like these European games. They suck. I can't stand them. I barely wake up for them. I forget they're on all the time. That's always gray and gloomy and sucky. And Jacksonville seems to be playing in them all the time. And I don't know. I know the Bengals played in one a couple years ago. That was a real shootout with Washington, dare I say. Commanders, wink, wink. But other than that, I really haven't caught too many of them. They just seem just out of sync. You know, it's hard enough, even with these Thursday night games that usually suck, which was a shocker the other night to see the Bears beat the Commanders. But it's hard enough for a team to prepare on a short week. It's hard enough for a good team to prepare, let alone a couple teams that suck. So that'll be something to keep an eye on. But tomorrow morning, I believe it's Buffalo and Jacksonville. Jacksonville has been a complete letdown so far this year. I really had high aspirations for them. And I don't know. I think Buffalo's going to probably put it on them, but it's hard to say. If I'm not mistaken, I got to look into that and find out if Jacksonville's playing back-to-back weeks over there, which I believe would be a first. So that's something to find out. All right, I'll get back to you on that and find out if that's true. But, yeah, like I said, the Bears whipped Washington, and the jury's still out on Justin Fields. It's nice to see him having some success. I hate seeing these young guys struggle, man. It's. Can you imagine the stress of being a quarterback in the NFL, period? I mean, it's your job is never safe. You can never relax. Everyone's on you constantly. I don't know why anyone wants to do that crap whatsoever. Well, I'm sure the money and the fame, I guess that would be pretty sweet. And you want to be a leader of men. So I guess overall it's a commendable position. I'm probably going to stay away from gambling this week. Haven't had too much success. It's just sometimes you go on tilt. You just got to hit a timeout. But I will say this. All right, forget it. I will bet tomorrow. The team I like, I haven't said it this year. I've said it at some halftime games when the emotions get into me. Never trust me at halftime, by the way, because my emotions usually get the best of me when it comes to the Bengals. This is the first time I'm saying it. Listen up. Take the Bengals over the Cardinals in Arizona tomorrow. That's right. Like I said, Joe Burrow is going to be on a mission, and I think they are going to be firing on all cylinders, and I expect a big game from Chase. He's going to have to fill in. The Cardinals cornerbacks are weak, so Chase and Joe are locked in tight and right. So, all right, Bengal Genius has big things coming up, big announcements, but that's all on the back burner for now. So, as always, thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe. Peace and love to everyone. And hooday, let's go Bengals. Let's do it. Let's get back to 2-3. All right, hooday.
Man, y'all need to start tuning in to the YouTube channel, The Bengals Genius Show.